Okay, this is now the 5-minute tarot for the 9th of March 2017. I think this is 2 months. I think I started on the 9th of January. Okay, so it's partly about the Nine of Swords again, and I hope you're not getting bored with it, but it occurred to me that the treatment of a bad card, okay, the Nine of Swords, the treatment of a card that shows problems or difficulties can be, and we're looking at the Nine of Swords, it can really be applied to any card that shows awkward or difficult situations. So even though we're still talking about the Nine of Swords, keep in mind that you can apply the same logic or the same kind of treatment to any kind of difficult card. And this is a reply to a comment from Spooky Boo. I don't know who Spooky Boo is, but Spooky Boo said, if the question is, how can I help myself? And the answer is the reverse Nine of Swords. Is the answer, don't worry. Right, so I thought, okay, yes, that's fair enough, a good enough answer, because it's a bit like the card is reversed, so it's in its own way, it's saying don't be like the person in the card, and the person in the card, as you know, has a hand over the face and probably is worried and anxious, right? So if the reverse card means don't be like this, then the reverse Nine of Swords, what do you do to help yourself? Don't be afraid or don't worry, right? Don't do that. And that's a good enough answer, and it seems accurate enough. But then I thought, okay, think of it, if you think of it this way, if you've ever been unhappy about something and people said to you, come on, cheer up, it might never happen. That's not that helpful to be told to cheer up. It just isn't. It may be logical and it may be sensible, but it's not that helpful. And I'm thinking tarot readings ought to be helpful, not just right or correct, but helpful. And in the same way, if you've ever been worried about something and people tell you, don't worry, again, it's not that helpful. And it's actually, if you've ever been annoyed, it's really annoying if you've ever been worried and people tell you don't worry, it's really annoying, and it just sort of adds to the awkward, difficult state of mind that you're in when you're worried about something. Okay, so do we want our tarot readings to be correct, or do we want them to be useful and helpful? And I think they should be useful and helpful. So if you agree and you would like to give or train yourself or develop the ability to give helpful and useful types of readings, what do you do? And I think the thing is, what you do is you do with this the same as you do with anything that you want to do. You decide that you're going to do it, and then you cooperate with yourself as you have ideas about. Let's say you want to improve your ability with the tarot, and you're on a bus or you're sitting at traffic lights, and you have this thought that maybe you should think about this, or this card might mean that, or something, an observation you make about somebody that reminds you, like a couple of days ago or maybe yesterday, my daughter was talking about lawyers and her kind of law and risk assessment. I thought that relates to the Justice card. So you could think that relates to the Justice card and forget it. But if you want to develop your ability to read the tarot, decide you want to do it, and then pay attention to your thoughts and pay attention to yourself and cooperate with yourself and take yourself seriously. So when you have an idea or a thought, write it down and follow through on it, instead of just thinking it and then not doing anything with it. So when you realize something, or when you remember something, or when you make a connection, do something with it rather than not do something with it. And so yesterday I went to visit my grandson, and we played with toys and things. And we also did a jigsaw puzzle. He had got it was a Batman thing, and so we did that. And on the way back from Toronto, I thought, okay, I was thinking about this video for today, and I thought, the tarot is not a jigsaw puzzle. It's a puzzle, but it's not a jigsaw. Because with a jigsaw puzzle, everything fits together, but it only fits one way, right? You can't, but tarot cards answer the questions, but there isn't just one way that a particular card will answer a question. So with this Nine of Swords reversed, so we've got the person in the Nine of Swords, and I'm saying because this Nine of Swords is upside down, it means don't in some way. So don't what? So you look at the picture, you can say don't be like the person, which may or may not be helpful. But also, maybe the how do you help? The original question was, how can I help myself? And the answer was the Nine of Swords. So maybe what you do is don't keep or put the swords on display. Because we're looking at the picture and we're saying don't what? Don't leave the swords on the wall. Take them off the wall. Use them. Be active. Take action. Don't just sit there. But instead of sitting there thinking or worrying, take the swords off the wall and use them to prune your situation, to cut out dead wood, to create space for new possibilities and new ideas. You're making use of the quality of the sword. You can maybe use it to defend yourself, or maybe you need to attack some bad habit that you've got, or something that keeps getting you into trouble. Because we do that, and we know we ought not to do it, but we do it anyway. And that can be the kind of thing to stop doing. So you cut it out using the sword, using your thoughts and your understanding. Because a lot of the problems we get into and the difficulties we experience are because of our feeble thinking. We think we can't, or we ought not to, or we don't really have confidence, or we don't really have belief in ourselves. So it might be important. I think it is important. And I think this whole series of 5-minute videos or 5-minute tarot videos is kind of, I can refer back to things that I spoke about a month ago, and maybe there'll be a connection made. So it's a bit like an ongoing experience of the tarot. So part of it is also for us to think about and to begin to understand, who actually are we? What are people? If Leonardo did what Leonardo da Vinci, not Leonardo DiCaprio, although he has his own strengths. But if Leonardo did what he did, we too, because we're people as well, we too can, maybe not in this lifetime and maybe not to the same extent, but we can develop a creativity and an understanding as Leonardo did. So you think about Shakespeare and Beethoven and Goethe and people who did great things. We too, in our own way, maybe in our own small way, can also do great things. And we ought to think about that. Or if we do think about that, we're going to get results that are more in line with greatness. But if we keep putting up with stuff that we don't want because we're afraid to deal with it, or if we keep thinking we can't, then we can't. And so the one last point, somebody said something about we are the average of the 5 people we spend most time with. And that's an interesting exercise. Who are the 5 people you spend most time with? When you average out their strengths and weaknesses and qualities and understanding, what are you left with? And if we're not that happy with the result of the 5 people we spend most time with, add some people like T.S. Eliot and poets and writers, and spend time with. So when we're reading what they wrote or looking at the pictures they painted, think of them as people we're spending time with. And in that way, you can increase the value of the time that you spend, because you're spending time in the company of creative, interesting people. Tomorrow, we're going to look at the Hanged Man. Okay, so that's it for the moment. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.